Super exciting day for me. My TM7 has come. So I'm really excited. I'm just becoming a Thermomix advisor. So I have got my TM7. You'll see behind me, I've already got a TM6, which has been fabulous. And I've had this for the last couple of years. I'm really, really excited to see the newer model and to be able to start using the newer model, which I love. So I'm going to unbox it with you. So we've got instructions, always really handy to have your instruction manual. We've got our Varoma dish lid, etc. A spatula, fabulous spatula, also a good microphone potentially. Always worthwhile singing as you're cooking. We've got the jug, and then we've got in here just. It's really well packaged, everything is, which is brilliant because you know there's no chance of being damaged en route. So this is the base and the motor, base and motor. Okay, so we're going to open up the box which has got the base in it. As I said, really well packaged, which is fabulous. Just make sure, get the whole thing out to show you. Put that down there for the moment. So, there we go. Oh, this looks lovely. It's so shiny. There we go. So you can see it's in a beautiful black colour. The jug would go on top. Here the bowl will do. You can see probably from the TM6, if you look at the screen of the TM6, you can see the difference in the size now. So this is a 10-inch screen, basically iPad size. So beautiful size, much easier to be able to navigate when you're doing your cooking using Cookie Do. If you're using the manual settings, much easier to be able to use. You've got a little protective cover on here as well, which I will take off once I'm at the point of using. The beauty as well of this new screen is that if your hands are a little bit wet, that you can still scroll. Hands don't have to be completely dry, which sometimes can be a little bit of an issue with the TM6. I do still love the TM6, but I do love this much more. So yeah, beautiful 10-inch screen. You've also got on the bottom, so you'll see on here, I've got a slider, because when you're trying to move your TM6 around or your TM5 or the earlier models, it's quite tricky. On the TM7, you've got an inbuilt slider. So you've got obviously the feet, which are in black to match the rest of the unit. But the purpose of this being white is because then when you're sliding it and you would lift it just very slightly backwards to be able to slide, it's not going to damage your surfaces in any way because of it being white in colour. So I'm now going to show you the bowl or the jug part. So I'll open up this bit. Sorry, started my dog. Take that off there. So you can see this is beautiful colour. You've got the herringbone effect over the jug itself, over the bowl itself, and the purpose of this is that it's insulated. So with the TM6, you'll notice that obviously it's kind of got that metallic kind of look on the outside, and that's because it obviously gets really hot. So there's no insulation from an outside perspective with this. So you've got to be really careful that when you're lifting your bowl or your jug, that you hold it obviously by the handle. The beauty of this with the TM7 is that actually you can hold it with both hands, and this won't be hot on the outside. So obviously inside, the jug itself inside would be really hot because it's metal, but on the outside you can hold. So from a safety perspective, they've really thought about this. You've got here on the top, you've got your lid, and then when we go inside, we'll find our, put those two bits down, our simmering basket, which is the same capacity as what was in the TM6, just a very slightly different design with on the lid aspect, just for where the spatula goes in, which I'll show you in a moment. So just a very slightly different design, obviously, for the fitting into the jug itself. You've got the butterfly whisk, which has got a slight difference with the sort of the prongs, so that you get more aeration within, and that would sit on top of the blades inside. And then with the lid, you've got the cap, which would go onto the lid. And how you put the cap on the lid is that basically you sort of push down and you give it a little twist as well. So the idea of this is it almost works a bit like a pressure cooker, really, in that if there was too much pressure inside, it would gently move, and so therefore it would release some of that pressure inside. So whereas with the TM6, you can actually take off your cap and you can look inside, or you could potentially feed things through like spaghetti, or you could put your spatula inside. You can't do that with the TM7, but that's because you don't need to, because you've got the option of open cooking. So you wouldn't need to potentially feed pasta through because you've got the open cooking element, but also from a safety perspective as well, they've got that sort of with the lid and that pressure element. So inside the jug, you've got your blade, and with the blade, you've got a sharp side and then a blunt side. And the purpose of that is that when then it's doing its mixing, or it's blending, or it's rotating generally for whatever you're doing at that moment in time, it will rotate in the clockwise or anti-clockwise direction that it is required to ensure that the food that you're cooking is kept at its optimum. So when you're popping your lid on, you can use kind of like the lip element. There's a seal part. You can use that to then bring it over the top of the Thermomix. And the important thing with the TM7 is that your the handle element, so the handle element of your lid and your handle of your actual jug itself, need to be in alignment for it to lock. Because if they're not in alignment, then it won't lock in place. The Thermomix as well is made of 30% recycled plastic, so sustainability has really been at the forefront of the company's mind when they've been designing this. You know, the engineering that goes into creating the new models, but the company's been going for a significant period of time, and you know that these products are really robust. They don't produce new models very often, normally maybe about every 8 years or so, and that just shows the quality of the product itself and the longevity. I personally have a really good friend who is Belgian, and they got their Thermomix when they got married, and she still has it, and they've been married for 26, 27 years. I mean, that just shows you the quality of the product. So I'm now going to show you the Varoma. Right, so I'm going to then show you the Varoma. Let's get this open. So we've got 3 parts to the Varoma. So you've got the actual Varoma itself, you've then got your tray, and then you've got your lid. And these would then stack on top of each other. So when you're doing steaming, you can then be using multi-layers. So you can be putting something a roast chicken, you could put your chicken in here. You could then have your vegetables on the top as well. You could have something else in your base, in your jug. So that multi-layer, hence the reason that it's so efficient and effective about using literally the one thing, the TM7, rather than multiple pots, pans. I just find it so useful in that way. With the Baroma, you can use the lid then as almost like your drainer. So if you've got something that you've been steaming, you would then obviously once you take it off the TM7, is then you can use your tray so that you're not then getting any potentially liquid running anywhere else and causing a hazard in any way. So really, really useful, easy to store therefore as well when you're putting it together. The depth of this is now bigger than it was on the TM6, but it's no bigger in regards to its diameter, I suppose, in a way. So from a storage perspective, it's no more than what you've already got if you've already got a TM6. So I'll pop those onto here, and then I'll grab the spatula. So I'm then going to show you the spatula, and then the spatula with the simmering basket as well. So spatula, really good from singing perspective. I always find it's always very useful to sing as you're cooking. I like a little dance as well. My husband often finds me being a little bit of a dance loon in the kitchen. So I'm going to open up, if I can, very well. Oh, packaged. Right, let's open this up. So the beauty of this spatula is the shape of it, because it's the complete length pretty much of your TM7. You would use it in a clockwise manner to ensure that you're protecting the spatula itself from the blades, because the blade is really sharp. Obviously, as I said before, it rotates one way for like sort of chopping, etc., and then it would rotate sort of anti-clockwise for if you were doing stirring, just to try and protect your food that you're cooking. I'm just going to grab a pair of scissors. There we go. Okay, so with the spatula, the new design with the spatula, you can put it onto a flat surface. You can keep it upright, so therefore you're protecting if you've used it from a stirring perspective, or removed some of the food from the sides during your recipe, to save you from then dirtying your worktop or adding anything onto your spatula. You can either pop it straight upright, or it's like a little nodule, like a little foot, that again you can then rest it upright. So really clever engineering that they've done when they've thought about it. So when you're using your spatula with your simmering basket, as we would have done when we were using the TM6, you're using basically this little hook here. So you basically just sort of slide it in to the side part or the front part of your simmering basket. There's like a little nodule that you can then use that hook part of the spatula into the simmering basket, so that then you're using it like a handle, really. So when your simmering basket is inside your TM7 and you're needing to remove it, and obviously that's really hot, that's going to be because whatever you've been cooking is in your simmering basket, you don't want to be popping your fingers into there, you're going to get a burn or a scald. So you can use your spatula to lift it up, and then you can always then go over to your sink or whatever it is that wherever you're going to be popping it. The other thing as well is that you've got like this little kind of ridge part on the simmering basket, and that's so that you can use your spatula to lift the lid. So if you needed to do anything where you needed to open up the simmering basket, stir or anything like that, add anything extra, you can do that without then physically touching your lid of your simmering basket. I'm just going to take that out. And then the last thing when with the TM7 with the jug itself is that you've got the inside element which will come out. So although it all can go into the dishwasher, realistically you're probably not going to put the outside into the dishwasher, or not necessarily needing to. Whereas like previously with the TM6, even though you've got the lovely pre-cleans, and I use that all the time, occasionally you might want to then stick it into the dishwasher or wash it by hand to get like an extra clean or something like that. With the TM6, you have to pop the whole thing in. With the TM7, the inner part of the bowl physically comes out. So basically, you've got this lever on the side, which I just moved forward. Just being careful, and you remove your blades. Be really careful because it is really sharp. And then you basically just remove the insert. And then the insert can then go into the dishwasher and your blade. And the beauty of this is that the blade would then fit in to the lid, and then it's out of the way, and there's no way that then you can potentially, as you're going to, put some knives in, forks in, whatever it is, emptying your dishwasher, that you accidentally catch yourself because that's somewhere else. So it's all together, and then it's kind of safe. When you're popping it back together, it's exactly the same process. So you're going to be putting your insert inside. There we go. You're going to be putting the blade inside, making sure it catches. There we go. And it's flat. And then all you're going to do is pull your lever towards you. And now that's locked in place. So again, quite different from the TM6, which is where you've got the base that you have to try and remove before then you can remove the blade. So it's almost like got three parts to it, where this has only got the two and then the slider. So a little bit easier to be able to use in that way.